Welcome, everybody, to Dear Romance Writer. We're three writers who always deliver happily ever afters, offer questionable advice for all of your relationship, work, and life problems. I'm Avery Flynn.
I'm Roan Parrish.
And I'm Zio Axelrod. We have a great show for you today with the USA Today bestselling author, Sienna Snow. Welcome,
Woo!
Sienna.
Hi.
Tell everybody a bit about yourself.
I write dark-ish romance, always on the steamier side. I love a good anti-hero, and I love a heroine that's a bit on the badass side.
All right, now I have to nail you on this because if you guys are listening and not watching, you're missing out. Sienna looks like a fairy tale princess.
Disney
She's
princess.
super cute, very tiny. How much of what you write is like your inner badass coming out? And I'm not talking about the sex scenes because that's always obnoxious when people do that. I'm talking about like the types of hero, like the anti-heroes and the badass heroines that you write. How much of that is just like, oh my God, yes.
It's pretty much everything, like I would want to be if I wasn't like a mom and a wife and having to be good all the time. It's like,
Right.
it
is very
I
unfair.
channel it into my writing.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's why I love the books. That's why I love the books.
You know what I love is when
we
people...
have to be like in the real world, we have to kind of rein ourselves in, right? We can't.
Mhm.
I love when people meet Sienna for the first time because they're like, especially if they haven't read her yet.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she's so sweet. She must write really sweet, like bunnies and kittens.
Yeah.
And then you read her stuff
Yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Avery gave me the name Sweet Face with a Dirty Mind. She said that to me at one conference, and then I'm like, I'm gonna take that, and I started using that in like my promos.
I think it's perfect. I mean, it's sweet face, dirty mind, and I love it. It's adorable. So
Welcome.
what's your latest book that you have out?
I released Master of Fortune, and it is. So I'll give you the two covers. I did a sweet cover, and then I did a man chest because I'm known for my man chest cover. So let me grab
Yes,
that.
you are. Yeah.
I love Yoda, baby Yoda, or sorry.
I'm
the trio
obsessed.
of Yodas. Yes.
Yeah.
So my children say I have a shrine to them because I'm obsessed with Grogu. That's what I call him because I use his proper name.
Yes.
Oh.
Of course.
Yeah, they always make fun of me. They're like, "You're obsessed." I'm like, "Tad bit. I'm kind of a nerd." So here's my, object cover, and then there's
like
my main
that.
chest.
Nice.
So it's like
I love them
fit
both.
all types.
Yeah.
Yes, I love those.
You can
Very
read one on the
hot.
train.
Mhm.
So one will not get me kicked off of TikTok, and the other one will feed, like our intersex goddess.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because on TikTok, I always get those like community violations.
Yeah, they're tightening up on those, aren't they?
Yeah, so I always have to like put the little bar on the like man chest.
What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Even
Man
if, like,
chest
even
is
if
the
the,
new
like, the clinch is
teenage
too
girl
clinchy.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's the clinch is too clinchy, they will shut that down too.
So
The
all the
clinch
words
is too clinchy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You need
Like
like
the
junior
words
prom
and stuff.
clinch where you're like foot between you before they.
The clinch is too clinchy.
Too clinchy
The
for
craziest
TikTok.
part is if you leave it at a certain point, or if you like flip the word, like you make it like instead of sex, you write S3X, then it goes through.
Yeah.
Or Segsy. My favorite is Segsy.
Yeah.
Segsy.
Sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and before, you exploded instead of, and so then it works. But I'm just like, it means all the same thing. And,
But they started flagging emojis. That's what killed, like the eggplant.
Yeah, you can't use the
chili
eggplant.
pepper.
You will be in. Eggplant, chili pepper. You have to be the water symbol.
Yeah.
Can't
I'm
use
waiting for the
that.
flame to be.
Oh, they stopped that? You can't use it?
Mm-mm. You can use taco. You can use.
And no one gives a shit about vaginas, just so we're clear.
Taco is the
penis has to be
vagina.
taken care of.
Taco is the vagina. You can use peach, but I think that's going to be kind of
Peach has
taken out soon.
They're starting to crack down on peach.
So you have to be really mindful.
I feel bad for all the cooks on TikTok. All the chefs.
Oh yeah, and So like all the cooks
swimmers.
on TikTok are in trouble now because they can't use delicious, things like that. Yeah.
We ruin it for everyone. I love
I know,
us.
right? I know. All of
That
us
is so
smut girls.
ridiculous. That is so. Oh my
You know,
God. Language
it's a good
police.
day.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh,
But the way I look at it is like, TikTok gives us a way to promo ourselves like we never had before. I'm one of those people that's, the glass is half full.
Yeah, yeah.
And it gives us a way to do something that we never had before. And yeah, they could be sticklers, but then we can just create another account.
Well, they're challenging your creativity too. It's just like,
Exactly.
there you
you
go.
can't use the
Keeps us on
given-
our toes.
Yeah.
And it's free
Yeah.
advertising. Hey.
Yeah, and you get to
Gotta
use
take it.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like you said, glass
Oh.
half full. Well, let's get
Glass
on
half
to
full.
our questionable advice giving. We're so happy to have you here
Yay.
for this because it's a doozy today. Our letter is from Am I the Asshole, which we always love, trolling through their stuff and grabbing cool things, but we want to hear from you guys. So please write to us at dearromancewriter.com, advice at dearromancewriter.com, or you can come to our DMs or, send us a telegram, whatever. We want to hear from you. We want to help you solve your problems. But for today, we are back with Am I the Asshole? And this one is, am I the asshole for leaving a wedding early as a bridesmaid and causing the wedding to get charged a $500 cleanup fee? Okay.
All right. That was not the second part to that I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was expecting
this
I had
one.
to
I
leave
read this
early
one. Oh, you
because
read
I
this one.
puked all over my dress.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
All right. Something different. All right. Classier people into cleanliness. All right. Hit me.
I, Jane, 21 female, was one of Vanessa's 21 female 3 bridesmaids, and her wedding was held at a remote lodge venue up in a mountain. When everyone got to the lodge, we did a dry run of the ceremony and surveyed the place. I assumed that the men would go to their cabin and the women would go to ours, and we'd relax before the wedding. Instead, the men immediately headed to the liquor store, and the groom and the bride's mothers began ordering the bridesmaids to move furniture into place. That night, the women did everything from dragging 250 chairs out of the shed and setting them up, to hauling furniture down 2 flights of stairs and positioning it in other places. Because I was the tallest and strongest person in the group, it was mostly on me to haul the larger pieces around, and the mother and the mother-in-law of the bride largely stood around talking about details with her. I asked repeatedly if the groom and groomsmen could be called to help, but was told that we, quote unquote, didn't want to bother them, and that, quote unquote, they are unwinding before the big day.
The fuck?
The father
right.
of the bride has a heart condition, and the father-in-law was much older and walking with a cane, so he couldn't help out either. At the end of 2 very sweaty hours, I had splinters, blisters, and was covered in sweat, but everything was set up. During the wedding, I learned that the bride and groom were trying to avoid all of the setup and takedown fees from the venue. The groom's mother condescendingly patted me on the arm and said that everything would be okay because, quote unquote, Jane's our workhorse. This is the letter writer. After a bit more conversation, I found out that the plan was for the bride and groom to leave, and then the bridesmaids and groomsmen to stick around doing everything from cleaning up trash to moving the furniture back where we got it. Toward the end of the party, almost everyone had left, and I realized that 2 of the groomsmen were so drunk that they were going to be useless, and it would again be on the bridesmaids to clean up and put all of the furniture back up the stairs. I went to tell the bride goodbye. Judging from her slightly panicked expression and, "Oh, you're leaving? You're leaving now?" questions, I realized that she definitely expected me to move the furniture back, but I didn't want to say anything while surrounded by people. So I left, and my phone blew up as I was driving back down the mountain. The other bridesmaids were texting me, and Vanessa's mother left an angry voicemail about how I was bailing on my duties as a bridesmaid. The next day, I woke up to a massive paragraph from Vanessa that said it was my fault that they had to pay the $500 cleanup fee because they weren't able to get everything put back in time. So for this, am I the asshole?
Oh my sweet baby Jesus on a cracker.
Mostly I just wanted to make Zio read that entire outrageous thing.
What is wrong with people? What is wrong with them?
What is
This
it about
is just
weddings specifically
crap.
too that bring out the worst? Like, remember the one where the girl was like, the bride was like, I want to have this super expensive wedding and everyone should pay all this money to come to my wedding, and if you don't, you're an asshole kind of thing. And people were like, not everybody can afford this.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm entitled because I'm the bride. Like there's a bunch of those. And this one though, I have never, first of all, I've been this person, not at a wedding, but I've been the workhorse.
Yeah.
But my goodness.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were the bride at first. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my God,
no.
tell me this story. When did you have a personality transplant? I want to know.
I was
Oh
a
my
bride.
God.
No. Hopefully it wasn't this bad, but wow.
You know what? This is the hell that destination weddings have wrought. All right. This is what has happened because people were doing destination weddings and forcing people like take like a week off of work and go across the country and do all of that shit.
But doesn't
All right. If you had a destination wedding, I'm sure it was lovely and you like paid for everybody or, you know, it was totally affordable. All right. You were the special one. Everybody else just obnoxious.
But the
This is the
destination
hell.
wedding is supposed to be you go, you experience, and you leave. This sounds like
Oh, this is way worse.
they got a venue that they could barely afford and did as much as they could to cut costs, including the cleanup fee. Like we want to have it at this, you know what I mean? Like we want to have it at
a
this
question.
place. Mm-hmm, yeah.
It doesn't, okay, unless I missed it, never said whether or not this was made clear that this was some of the bridal party duties.
I feel like she would have said if that had been made clear.
I would think so too. And
it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay,
she said
so
we showed up ready to just relax for the evening and then got roped into doing this work.
That's a good point. Okay, so I will say, as somebody who grew up without a whole lot of money in the Midwest, you know, every wedding was basically, every family wedding was like, you came, you showed, you pitched in, you put stupid Jordan almonds in the little see-through baggy thing, you know, you did, you know, all of that stuff, right? And that was just sort of a given, right? So I'm trying to be generous here and thinking that maybe it's a little bit of like a regional cultural thing, that maybe it was a little bit of confusion there, but that still doesn't explain all of the rest of it. I'm reaching for any string.
No, and
Sienna, what have you got?
Wait, I appreciate your generosity, but I also feel like this is a 250 person wedding. So like the venue that they have paid for, the food that they have paid for, all of this for 250 people, these people chose to spend their money on the wedding and the guests. And like, they obviously can afford $500 more if they can afford a 250 person.
That was my thought.
Wedding.
That was what I was going.
This is not a backyard wedding. This is not a DIY wedding.
And the girl's mom is a twat waffle.
Yes.
Yes.
That made me like, when I read that originally, when I was just like I love to scroll Am I the Asshole?
Yeah.
Articles. And
you are our
I read
people.
That. When I read that, I was just like, oh, I want to punch them in the face, because I go to a lot of weddings because Indian people constantly get married. And I'm just kind of like, oh, because we have like Indian weddings are insane. And we are always like doing the baggies and all that crap all the time. And it's like a production. Ours are. If you're part of the wedding party, we know we got to do stuff, but it's planned out. Yeah. And we let everybody know, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And it's pre-told to everybody.
Yeah.
What their assignments are. You don't spring it on anybody because it's rude.
Yeah. Yes.
And if the groom side always knows that they have things to do.
Right.
They don't. Nobody just gets to coast. And then at the end, everybody celebrates by getting drunk. That's just kind of like our thing. Like at the end, everybody gets drunk. So I was just like, when I read that, I was just like, so I actually gave my husband the article, and he's like, yeah, the mom is a twat waffle.
Yeah.
Ew. That just was, and the bride is a diva. It's just, I couldn't believe it. That girl was they were treated like a real friend.
No.
That was just.
It reminded me of those, like when you go to.
I couldn't believe it. That made me like.
Someone's house for a holiday, like Thanksgiving or something, and like all of the women are in the kitchen, all the men are sitting on the couch watching football. That's this family dynamic here. It's like, you guys go out and be boys, and we'll just take care of all this stuff. And Jane can do it because she's so big and tall. It's just
no, there's well, at least hopefully she fed them, as opposed to the Disney wedding that was on. That one was
Wait, what
just
happened?
oh, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Roan. She hasn't read it. Okay, Roan, are you
Oh.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is how we go off the garden path.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, God.
So this bride plans her dream wedding. She doesn't specifically say it's at Disney, but it's the only place Mickey and Minnie will go. So it had to have been Disney. So we've got Disney adults. If you're a Disney adult, I'm sure you're a lovely person and not insane. So it's a Disney adult wedding. It is a huge part. Disney is a huge part of the couple's relationship, what they have in common, their hobby, their love, their everything. Okay, fair enough. So they have their Disney wedding. And in order to be able to afford not one, but two appearances by wedding Mickey and Minnie, these appearances were 30 minutes each, by the way, just so you know. They skipped food for the entire like wedding reception. So they because
and then told people there were vendors you can go to
and said there were vendors and vending machines
and vending machines
and vending machine, like, thanks for coming to my wedding, go stand in line at Epcot.
Yeah.
And then she drops that which she thought was totally acceptable, and then she drops that the cost to have Mickey and Minnie there was like $2,750 per 30 minutes
appearance.
Okay, question. To just make sure I understand this correctly, because I feel very out of my element in anything to do with this thing. These are random, regular people wearing costumes.
They're the official.
No, it is Mickey and Minnie at a wedding
at the park or whichever park they were in. So this is like not like let me call up through Google and find someone who's wrestling.
But I mean, it's just a costume.
Yes.
These are workers. These aren't like famous people being Mickey and Minnie.
Right.
No. Adults.
Well, Mickey and Minnie are famous on their own. And they came in wedding attire when they do this, and they pose for pictures. And so the bride thinks that she had just her dream wedding and everybody had a good time. And then she sees on Facebook that people that went are talking shit about it, as they should have. And she's like, I can't believe it.
In the moment of this wedding, none of the people there were like, wait, there's no food. What the fuck? They just pretend every single person.
Maybe to each other, but not probably.
To each other. I don't know how you could get through that without being like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
Duh. Well, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know. I think this is pretty stupid too.
This is horrible.
I'm really curious whether she actually went to the wedding the next day. Because if it were me,
this was after the wedding, right?
No,
so they had the wedding.
This
was during the wedding.
This is before the wedding. They had the driver.
So before the wedding, she sets up, but she stayed till after the wedding and then left when she was like, they want us to break down as well. Screw this.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not probably go into the wedding.
I highly doubt this is the first time that Vanessa has treated Jane in such a manner, or other folks in such a manner. And the patriarchal bullshit of all the guys going and getting drunk is a bunch of crap too. And Sienna, I love what you said about, we go to these weddings and we put in the work, and that's just part of the expectation. And that's the thing, you have a clear expectation of that. I go to a family wedding, I have a clear expectation that I'm going to be putting a lot of Jordan almonds in a lot of little bags. By the way, I hate Jordan almonds to this day. But that is, that's just one of those things, is you've got the expectation, and the fact that she didn't have any, that's just horrible. Because setup and breakdown is not in any of the unspoken rules of being a bridesmaid.
No, and I feel like the part that is the most upsetting to me is like, because I'm someone who, if I'm at a party or something, I always want to be the one in the kitchen, because then I don't have to go to the party, but I get to like talk to the people I like enough who know I'm in the kitchen and will just come talk to me. So I would be like, if anyone ever had the incredible miscalculation to ask me to be a part of their wedding party, and I had the like,
oh, I'm going to get married again just for this.
I know, I was just thinking
it's going to be a vow renewal, and I'm going to make you come down to Virginia and set up and break down my wedding venue.
But you know what's amazing is you can't make me. And this is the point, is that like, I would actually prefer to set up 250 chairs than mill about making small talk with wedding guests. This is a job I would volunteer for.
All right, fair enough.
But if someone, number one, like already had me doing all the work of whatever you do as a bridesmaid, which I'm sure there was work, like a bachelorette party and blah, blah, blah. If they had made me buy a dress, if they had made me go to wherever this like top of the mountain thing is, and then on top of that had assumed that I was going to do that work and also had been really, really sexist about it, you just like, I'm so sorry, maybe this is a take one for the team moment, but this is a moment where I would be like, hey, that is an absolutely outrageous request. You are prioritizing the feelings of the one person getting married over every single other person who's involved. And like, I understand that's kind of a thing in weddings sometimes, but it's only a thing in weddings if you're like a heterosexual person who's friends with all other heterosexual people, because then you know that like, if you go to someone's, it's fine because they're going to come to yours, and it maybe feels like a trade-off. So you're like, yeah, I can do this because I get it back at mine. But if you're not that person, like, then you just constantly are shelling out all this money to go celebrate a thing that you don't care about and know that it'll never come back to you. Like, I would still do the chairs probably, because if it's my friend, I would want to support her. But you bet your ass I would go up to this bride and be like, this was so outrageous. And of course I'm going to do it because otherwise it's not going to get done and you won't have a wedding, and I want you to be happy, but we are going to have such a conversation about this after the fact.
Yeah,
like,
I'm really curious about.
I can't even.
I love
believe
Roan's threats.
anything.
You're gonna have such a conversation.
I know this is a personality thing and like a how you're raised thing, and obviously these people are children, like they're getting married, but they're 21 years old. They don't know anything. So like, I understand that maybe you don't know about boundaries yet, but I just like, I can't even believe that this person didn't say anything. I'm shocked.
The other thing is,
Well,
like,
this 21-year-old had her mom paying her wedding. That's obvious.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
her mom is a grown-ass woman.
And even 21, I don't think it disregards this level of shittiness.
Oh no, it's not an
no.
excuse at all. It's just
No.
of course I have to remember that they're also idiots on top of all the bad behavior.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, her mom's not 21 and she's the biggest idiot.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
all of them. But what I don't understand is Jane, one of 3 bridesmaids, and whoever else was there left, but they still had to pay a $500 cleanup fee because Jane wasn't there.
Yeah, didn't they have all the other bridesmaids?
Well,
Nobody else
Jane
could-
was the workhorse. Come on, Theo, follow along.
It's just so, there's so much. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
What is it? What is the book? See Jane run, run Jane run. Like,
Yeah.
how would we go
Unload
on?
a wedding, Jane, unload a wedding.
Well, and then the fact that the other bridesmaids are all pinging her and texting her and
They had to do more work.
trying to call her out. I think I hate to
If
say
everything
this.
lasted around her, that means the other bridesmaids were never pulling their weight in the first place.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and I
Exactly.
also honestly wonder how much of this was God, I hate this, because this I think speaks very negatively about some female group dynamics. But she was the friend just because she was the one who would do the shit.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, that
They
workforce
were it
comment is
wasn't
not
a, it
new,
was
I
was
think.
a completely usury experience. And I don't know, maybe dudes have those toxic groups as well occasionally.
Oh, they do.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
you're only in it for their parents' boat, the lake house,
The truck so they can move.
the
That's
truck,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
the-
They
All
gotta
right,
pick up.
good.
That's why they're my
So
friend.
so that is such a shitty friend dynamic. And I think sometimes, a lot of times, it takes something like this for the person who is that friend to realize I'm not actually part of this group.
Mm.
I thought I was part of this group, but I'm not actually part of this group. And that can be really, really devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Jane. And she's obviously a good friend. Like, she was willing to go along with this inanity to make the wedding happen until the very, very end. I don't know why. Again, I'm just like, why didn't she go into the place where the groomsmen were and be like, what the fuck, we're out here moving furniture, get your asses up. Like, there are so many, anyway, this is not productive because I'm just saying things that I would have done. But I feel like the reason I say that is because the workhorse comment from the mom, I am really curious to know if it's like, this is one of those, you know, those like white moms who are mothers of the bride who really want their daughter to be like such a skinny, perfect thing that you look at that person and think like, well, whoever her parents were, they must have been immaculate. Like that's the kind of person I'm imagining this mom is, for fair or not fair. And I'm wondering if it's like Jane is the only one of them who's like a little bit taller. She says she's stronger, so maybe she's sporty, or maybe she's like worked construction or something, whatever. And I just feel like it's such a like a, I don't know, it's like a dog whistle. I think
it's a comment on her femininity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is a comment on her femininity, and yeah, Roan, I think you brought up a really good point with the specific middle class, I would say, white mom toxicity.
It's not just a white mom thing, though.
I'm sure it's probably not. I can only speak from my experience, but yeah, that is a certain type of yeah. Moms, be nice to your kids, all that shit
and
sticks.
other people's kids This isn't even your kid, like, yeah. But if I were Jane, I would be reevaluating all of these friendships that I have here with the grooms, if she knows the groomsmen, with the bridesmaids, especially with the bride. Like the bride blaming her for this cleanup fee, that would kind of be, and just dumping all of this on her. You think you're going to a relaxing weekend wedding, with your friends, and you're going to do like the bridesmaids' duties are like, make sure my dress isn't ripped, help me fix my hair, like maybe find a seat for someone, like whatever, but like not moving hundreds of pounds of furniture up and down 2 flights of steps. Like that's not bridesmaids or groomsmen duty. That's what you pay the venue for.
Yeah.
I think Jane has an escape pod that she got into, and she needs to not get out of that escape pod. And I think it's awesome that she did get in the escape pod and run away. And I would say, really honestly, this is a great beginning of a book, because you're rooting for Jane. And Jane's got a whole new world to explore and all of that shit. So, go Jane, go.
Okay, so we're spinning plots now. So on the other side, one of the groomsmen is like, dude, they're dealing with something on that side that's like not this, but equally as nuts. And so they're like, oh man, I can't believe I got dragged into this wedding. And so they commiserate somewhere together.
Yeah,
there you go.
I like this. At the bottom of the mountain
they meet.
And because there's only one room left.
Yeah,
they have to share the cabin.
Yes.
Yeah. All right,
proximity.
I would read this book and I am into it, and in the end, like, something happens, not like painful or deathly, but mom and bride get their comeuppance along with drunken groom and groomsman.
Yes.
So yes.
Well, since you brought up like how this would be if we were writing it, do you all have you written wedding disasters into any of your books?
Yes.
Do tell.
So I did a wedding date disaster, right? Yeah. And it is basically she goes to her sister's wedding, and her sister, like, they're doing all of the wedding stuff, and she doesn't want to have to deal with all of the crap you have to deal with when you go home, and everybody wants to know, well, who are you dating? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. So she has her best friend's going to go with her, and her best friend ends up getting sick and sending his evil twin brother in his stead. And so not only does she have to pretend that he's her boyfriend, she also has to pretend that he's the best friend, so his brother. So that was really fun. All right, spoiler alert, close your ears if you're going to read the wedding date disaster. But if you don't, the add-on is the sister who's getting married. Her husband to be stands her up. And so the wedding never actually takes place, but they have the party anyway. So yes. So I've done that. I'm trying to think if I've done any other weddings. I did a wedding planner, and that was fun.
The only wedding I think I've written was the one that just came out in the Love Is All anthology, volume 5.
Yes. Happy release week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Say that name of that book again.
Love Is All, Volume 5.
Volume 5. Yes.
Yeah,
Go get it.
and
Go get it. Go get it.
the story is set in Norway, so it's it was a bit of like fangirling for me. But it's best friends getting married, and his best friend is there, and the groom invites, or one of the grooms invites, this fling that his best friend had when they went on a road trip when they were in college, and he doesn't know that he's going to be there. So hijinks ensue. Yeah.
We
It's
love
basically-
hijinks.
It's basically just like a postcard about Norway, because I got to. But yeah,
like
I don't think I write weddings. I write like proposals, but this is the first thing I think I've set something at a wedding, at a destination. And it's a destination wedding because people are coming from out of the country.
Sienna, how about you?
I write going up to the wedding, but I've never written a wedding. Like Master of Fortune is like, you know, they're an engaged couple, so it's like enemies to lovers, kind of like arranged marriage. And then I've written like pre-wedding stuff, so it's another enemies to lovers. Like they're siblings of the two couples.
I'm so glad you put that other part there, because all I heard at first was their siblings, and then that was an
siblings of the
awkward
couples
pause.
getting married. Yeah, siblings of the couples getting married, you know, and so then they're enemies, like they hate each other.
Yes.
And so then they end up, you know, like together. They're constantly together, but they hate each other because they're trying to make the wedding great for the other two, and then they just kind of like button heads constantly. But it starts off with them having a one night stand, and then they, you know, and so it's just kind of like, because I always have lots of sexy times in my books, so has to always have that.
Always a good time.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, always a
Yes.
good time. And it's Vegas, you know, everything happens.
Oh
in Vegas.
gosh. I've never been to Vegas, but I just watched Hacks, which I'm like obsessed with, which is
So
set in
good.
Vegas, and now I'm like fascinated and kind of want to go see.
I love
You
Vegas.
should come with me in October when I go for the Las
There you
Vegas
go.
Book Festival.
Maybe.
Vegas
Mhm.
is just so much fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I've
can get
only
Mr.
ever
X
been
does
for
not like
work.
fun.
I need to like go for fun sometime.
It is fun.
If you go for fun, you can get in trouble.
Yeah.
You might wake up accidentally married. Yes.
Went to my first strip club in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Me too.
Oh,
Okay,
is it?
I have to
Like,
tell this story because it was hilarious. So like it was me. This is where I met Denny S. Bryce. It was the first time we
Oh my
met.
God.
And it was me and her and maybe 3 or 4 other writers, and we were all writing Buffy fanfic. But like, you know, I was like, they called my stuff love smut. And then it went from love smut to like full on erotica. So we all thought we were badasses, and so we're gonna go get a limo and go to a strip club. And the concierge told us which one to go to, and we get in the limo, and the guy's like, "Where are you going?" And we give him the name, I don't remember, and he goes, "Oh, you want to go to a strip club? I got a place for you." And we're like, "Okay." So he drives us off the strip to some place, drops us off, and he's like, "I'll be out here." We're like, we got this. And you walk in, and all the girls are on the first floor, and we go upstairs to the second floor where all the guys are. The first floor was very calm. There's like, you know, very little
No.
activity, like people just sort of sitting around with their drinks watching these women dance. And we're like, okay, and go upstairs, complete mayhem, like
Yes.
just complete and utter mayhem. And we all stopped in the door like, what have we gotten ourselves into? But two of the group were like, yeah, let's do it. So we sit down, immediately lap dance start and all this stuff, and we're all just sitting there like deer in headlights, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why is he in my face? It was so fun. We were out of there in 20 minutes. It was hilarious. We were all like badass erotica writers going to be in there, and we couldn't get out of there fast enough. It was the funniest thing. So we call ourselves, it was called Olympic Gardens, if everyone wants to go there, if it's still there, but we call ourselves the Olympic Garden Girls, or the OGGs. So if you ever hear us refer to that, that's what it's about.
Nice.
I love that. That's hilarious.
It was
Should be the Olympic Garden dropouts.
yes. Yeah, 20 minutes we were out. Yeah.
The garden dropout.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh my
Well, okay,
goodness.
so have you, this isn't necessarily, it doesn't have to be wedding specific, but just like the premise of the question, have you ever been in a position where someone has like either asked or expected something of you that you were like, wow, this is super outrageous. What the hell is wrong with people?
No. I was asked to officiate a wedding, which is not an outrageous thing at all. I thought that was really awesome, but it kind of threw me for a loop because I'd never done anything like that before.
Right.
So I was like, why me? And all that whole, all that stuff. But then I embraced it and, bought a choir robe so I could look like Yeah, like an official
There you
person. And
go.
all that stuff. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I haven't
I
had any.
planned my sister-in-law's wedding,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's a ton of work.
Wow.
Indian wedding, 3
Ooh.
days,
Wow.
because my in-laws lived in a different state. She wanted to get married in Houston. Her fiance and everybody lived in Alabama, and I had to plan an 800-person wedding.
800
800
people for 3 days.
Yeah.
That's a job.
And I had a newborn
Oh my gosh.
and a 1-year-old.
Wow.
Oh my lord.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a job.
At the end of it, I needed alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I hope you got to bathe in a vat of it. Oh my God.
And so then my husband was just like, I was like, I hate you. I hate your family. Because my daughter was
Weddings
going
are
to turn
stressful.
one
I can't imagine.
the week after my sister-in-law got married. My son was almost, like, he was 2.5, because I had almost Irish twins. And Lord, it was just like the most insane thing ever. And I just felt like I was crazy. And I literally will pay my children to elope and give them the money that we would spend on a wedding to buy a house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously.
I think that's the way to do it. Yeah. When I'm sure I have been asked things that are crazy pants, but yeah, nothing comes to mind right now. But so I planned my wedding, and when we got married, it was in Georgia, and nobody else lived in Georgia. In fact, I was the only one that lived in Georgia. My husband lived across state line in Florida at the time, so it was literally just me. So I did like the venue shopping, like on lunch hours and stuff like that, and went dress shopping and did all of that stuff. And even though it wasn't even close to like a cool place that people would want to visit. I'm sorry, Albany, Georgia. But it's a lovely place. There's yummy hot dog restaurants, and you get great grits there. All right, not gonna lie.
But wait, are they sweet or salty?
Okay. This is when I tell you that I dump sugar into all of my grits.
Oh,
So
no.
I know
we can't be friends anymore.
I'm a heathen. I'm a bad human being. But so what I did, because everybody had to basically fly into Atlanta and then drive to this little town in South Georgia. So I didn't want people to have to, or they were flying into Albany. So they were doing that. I arranged for buses to take, like, I specifically found a hotel that also had a big enough event venue, and it's a small town, so that we could have everybody there, and then got buses and rented buses that would take people from the hotel to the church for the ceremony and then take them back again, because I didn't want anybody to have to rent a car if they were flying in from Albany. Also, made sure the hotel had a shuttle, did all of those logistical things.
This is my not surprised face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
of
I know.
Course you did. Of course you did, because you're fucking wonderful and you care about human life.
But we had 3 people use the buses. So fucking expensive.
No
And
wonder
we had no money. Like, my wedding dress literally cost $75 because it was I got it at Dillard's right after the prom season. So yeah, I mean, literally we had no money, but I was like, we can't do this to people. And then to have like 3 people use it, I was just like, but we had a huge showing in the wedding, considering everyone had to come in. No one was local. So yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's as close as I can
arrangement.
get, is me asking a lot of people who did come, asking a lot of the people who came to the wedding, because it was not an easy or cheap place to get to, just because of flights and such.
Yeah, even DIY weddings cost money. I mean, we eloped, but then we got a lot of flack from, well, I was mostly my family. It was like, what? So we had our wedding on our one year anniversary, and we DIY'd it. Had a friend make the cake. We decorated the venue before the ceremony, but we were 2 hours late starting the ceremony because my dad got mustard on his costume. Or when he opened the costume, it had like a big mustard stain on the front, and they, instead of like just winging it with something else, he decided to try to clean it. So I'm sitting outside the venue for like an hour and a half in the car waiting for them to get here so I could go inside. So that was my
Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to get clarification. Why was your dad in a costume for your wedding?
You gotta say where the venue is.
Just like zoomed over that. Yeah, so we had a theme wedding.
Okay, I love this. Keep going.
I was a theater major and I'm extra. So we had a medieval wedding. So I designed my designed my dress and had it made, and Mr. X made his own outfit. And we asked people to either come, dress for a wedding, like normal wedding clothes, or in costume. And I was surprised at how many people came in costume. Some of them were. There was one guy who was like,
the pictures are amazing. Zio
she just saw the pictures.
Ageless and basically just looks like herself 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Looking medieval. So.
There was one guy who came in it was like a combination Superman knight costume. So it was like Superman colors, but like shiny silver with like the S. And it was really bizarre, but I was like, you know what? You do you. It was fun. It was a lot.
That's hilarious. I love that.
But yeah, that's
pretty cool.
Wow.
Weddings are stressful.
Wow.
Weddings are stressful.
Weddings are stressful, so don't make your bridesmaids be your workhorsets.
Exactly.
Down the steps and get sweaty the night before. You're like, you come to the wedding with like your nails done and your hair ready to go and all that, and then you got to lug furniture up and down the steps. That's not cool.
That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Gracious.
Well, it's wedding season, so I'm sure there'll be lots of letters coming in. We'd love to hear some letters coming in about weddings that you guys go to this season. That would be fun to dive into.
That reminds me, we need to remind folks about our giveaway that's going on this month here in June. So we celebrated our 50th episode here at the beginning of the month. So we are doing a 50 giveaway. It is divided up. It is a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card and then 25 books. So some of which will be signed, some of which will not. So there you go. And all you have to do, it is US residents only. So just a heads up. Sorry, folks. But all you have to do to enter is send in a letter for advice to all of our little email address. What is it? Advice at dearromancewriter.com.
It's not like we've said this like 50 times.
I know. Or you can DM us on social media. We've got the anonymous form on the website, all of that good stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And tell us all your wedding woes. We want to hear about them.
Please join us and let us laugh.
Yes.
With you.
With you.
Yes. We'll laugh with you.
Sienna, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Mayhem. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming up, what's just coming out, all that stuff.
I am on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I don't do Twitter because it scares me. I'm kind of scared of Twitter. But and
what's your handle?
I am by Sienna Snow on Facebook, and I am author Sienna Snow on TikTok, and I'm the same thing, author Sienna Snow on Facebook as well. And I am currently writing the last book in my Street King series, which is Ruthless Air, and that is not going to come out until January. So I'm taking time to write that, and then I am currently in the process of outlining a taboo romance series.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so it's a brother's best friend kind of series.
Nice.
So,
and you're going to be at a couple of events this summer?
Oh yeah, I am going to Book Bonanza and Polycon.
Yay! We'll see you there too.
We'll get to hang out with you both places.
Yeah,
that's good.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us for another episode of Dear Romance Writer. Remember, sending your questions. We cannot wait to give you some questionable advice from this trio of happily ever after enthusiasts. We will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for subscribing to Dear Romance Writer. Remember to keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. We can't wait to tell you what to do. Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love, frolic.media/podcasts.